te digo. Hey, hello everybody. A ver, it looks like right now we have 4 coming in. Let me get some thank yous out of the way real quick before we really get started. Hey Jesse, the Corridor Book, Kelly Aquariums, thank you for being here. Sarah from Skidinona, thank you so much for joining us today. Silver Creek Codex, Tommy, thanks for all the links that you've been dropping. Thank you so much. Huawei, Sam, thank you so much, sir, for being here. As you guys know, and as much as this is probably one of the things that we've been publicizing the most in our channel, we typically do some advertisement, but this one we felt merited a little bit more of an announcement, and people are still rolling in. Renee, thank you so much for being here. Lando, thank you so much. Jen, thank you so much for being here. Ciclet Aquarist, and so obviously today we have the great honor of having Ivan Mikolji joining us today. Steve is going to join us in a bit. I don't know. I guess, as you guys know, I tend to create a lot of confusion with the fact that we don't do daylight savings time. And it doesn't matter how much I try to explain to people that I don't shift in time and trying to figure out. Usually this time of the year, I get an hour closer to whatever your time is. That's all that happens. But it happened last year. It's happening this year again, where Steve got confused with the times. But yeah, he'll be coming. And Tommy, it's kind of comical because if anybody really wanted to be here before me, it was him. But anyways, Ivan, thank you so much for accepting our invitation. I know I was kind of giving you a little bit of a background as to why this is so significant to our show. I know when people get embarked on a project, you tend to kind of create like a wish list of people that you would like for them to join you on your live stream. And one of those names that you kind of throw that in our situation that we kind of threw out there is like, oh man, wouldn't it be crazy if? Well, it happened to be you. And we're into this about 1.5 years later, and I know it took us a while to find our stride in this niche of the hobby, where we're trying to put out content that's entertaining but informative at the same time. And it wasn't until we really hit our stride when we started talking about the conservation side of the hobby. And in doing so, it allowed us to kind of serendipitously almost line up a lot of the guests that we brought on, because it started out with friends that we knew that were involved with some sort of conservation. And then it just kind of naturally progressed into there.
It starts with the guinea pigs. You use people as guinea pigs.
Well, no, I wouldn't even say that. It wasn't even guinea pigs. What it is people that that you can reach out to that are willing to support you in what you're doing. And
well,
that's really
the first ones sort of are guinea pigs. The first ones to get on, But it's so nice to be here with you guys. And look, it's cool. I didn't put the comments part. I was in the private chat, so I'm like not looking at anything. But now when I put in the comments, now I'm looking at the comments. It's really cool.
Oh no, there's been a lot of excitement. I know your name has come up on our live stream multiple times as an example of a doer, not a sayer, because we come across a lot of people that they'll get on, whether it's on a social media platform or whatever, and it's always real easy to say, "Oh, we should do this," but it takes a lot more to go from "we shall do this" to "I'm gonna do this." And that's one of the things that we admire a lot about what you've done, because there's so many people that want to do something for conservation, but yet you took hands into your own matter. And even though it might have not been a well thought out plan that how it was going to happen, but you said, I got to do something. So you pick up your camera and you start just, trying to figure it out until eventually you found your stride. And that's an example of somebody that said, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to wait for somebody else.
I'm that demented.
Well,
but listen, the thing is that this all started the way art starts, because usually art, people don't ask for art, or don't say, it just is there and people can use it. Or it's not like they order something. Usually, you just make it, and then, but usually the world doesn't work that way. Usually the world asks for something and then you create that. Here was the opposite way. I was creating something, and I didn't even know people could use it at that time. So that was the let's say the radical part of it, was making something that nobody asked for and nobody paid for. That's the that which it was the hard part of it all. And but those are the parts where you don't have a boss and you do exactly what you want to do, and it really makes it fun, and makes it different, when you do it however you want to do it. Not, however you think it's, you have a vision and you go with it. And that's probably how your show started too.
Yes. Yes, it was definitely like that. It was not really having a real. We had a general idea. There's Steve.
Good morning.
Hey, Steve.
I was just
how are you
telling
doing?
him,
How are you?
It seems like every year at this time of the year, we always have that mix up of the time and
Every year.
You should have figured that by now.
No.
I don't move. I keep telling everybody.
Exactly.
I don't move.
So if you don't move, but the rest of the country does, and we're broadcasting to the country, that means you move, not us.
No.
We've been doing it at 1 o'clock every time.
Nope, it's been my time.
It's 2 o'clock here, and 2:10 and here in Valencia, Venezuela.
2:10.
2:10. Yeah.
Oh wow. Well, either way, we're here.
At least it's the same day. We're here on the same.
Something. Wow, this is amazing. Well, it's good to meet you. And you know what?
Likewise.
This is probably the most organic circumstance possible to do it. So thank you for coming on today. And
thank you guys for having me.
Oh, absolutely.
I was explaining to Ivan that when we first started our venture into doing live streams, there's always that list of guests that you want to, like the wish list, really. That's what it was. And I was explaining to Ivan that when we started, we kind of jokingly said that one guest that we really wanted to be able to have, even though it seemed kind of far-fetched at the time, was to have Ivan on. And here we go, a year and a half after we started.
We are.
We've made it fruition. So for us, I'm not gonna lie, and I know
I'm trying.
I'm freaking happy I was on that list, man. I made it on that list. It's really cool.
And I know at least on my part, I'm being a little bit of a fanboy, but it's nice when the results of what you've been working on a project, and you can see that you're making progress in the right direction and hitting some of those goals as you progress. We see the response from the community that follows us, that they keep supporting us, that they keep coming back time after time. And at the end of a live stream, the positive feedback that we get, where it's kind of like, hey, you guys are really you're carving yourself a little niche in what is the community of trying to provide what our goal was to provide educational but entertainment at the same time. Which is it's been a real interesting balance, but I think most of the times we pull it off. I say most of it. Well, maybe I don't know.
Well,
maybe
I would say so. Well, it sets up what George is talking about, and the whole way it came up is me and Jorge. We talk about aquariums, obviously, but we propose theories, okay, and I don't remember when I started it, but I started doing these little self-contained ecosystems, if you will. And I was like, I'm going to do a big one, because back in the day when I was younger, TFH, all the magazines, like having an automatic tank, no filter, that was like the holy grail of tanking. And we were talking about, well, can you do it with Oscars, predator fish, etc.? And I was like, well, I'm going to do it in a 55 no filter, and I put the convicts in there. And I was telling them about the species that got recognized from the Amictitliana, that group, because of a video that you did. And I was like, no, dude, you got to watch this Mikolji video. Because I was like, look, dude, it's these two dudes. You got Below Water, you got Mikolji, and then you got the fish guys. That's the homie Mikolji. And I was like, bro, they're like me and you, but they're jet setting, like stray dogs, dirt roads, the whole nine. But you know, they got their stuff together. So yeah. I was like, bro, that would be the episode of all episodes, because I was telling them about the bio competition, about just the stigma. And what we're trying to do is cultivate this space for hobbyists on social media, because I see it as an opportunity. And it's not all glitz and glam. And that's cool if you like that stuff. But so many people that are in the hobby, they see social media as a toy. It comes with this tone of mediocrity because of all the clowns on social media. So when you have hobbyists who care, who follow stuff, spreading out, we're cultivating this space. I like to think of it as the internet is the civic center, right? So this platform, Fish Plenty Moss, this is our group, if you will. We paid our money, our $150, whatever, because people don't know how to use the trash can. And we're going to meet up on every other Saturday, and we're going to talk the hobby. We're going to interject, cultivate in the hobby. And that's what we're trying to do here. So thank you for coming up.
Thank you guys for having me here. You know, it seems to line up what, you know, what you guys do with a little bit of what I do. So it's okay. It's great. That's why we're here. That's why we connect.
That's really a far stretch. Right. We're nowhere near what you're doing.
Yeah, that's well,
yeah. You're actually boots on the ground, going out there, getting in the waterways, and you know, at times, you know, I recently, like maybe a couple of weeks ago, I really started doing a deep dive and going way back to some of the original footage that you were putting out. And you were kind of alluding to it where you were talking about finding your way and all that stuff. Wow, that's one of the things that I found very admirable, that you don't cut anything out. Whether it was good, bad, or different, it's on there. I mean, it's the raw footage. And you start seeing that evolution where the light goes off and you go, okay, I know what I need to start doing different. And
right.
You see that growth. And that is, to me, that's very fascinating, because you can see how somebody continues to evolve and improve, which really inspires somebody like myself that, okay, yeah, you don't need to start off knowing exactly how to do things. It's more important to have that motivation, that energy, and that drive to do it. And then as you progress and you learn on the job, because there is no training course, there isn't anything out there that can show you how to do this. So you know, it's trial, you know, air by trial. You just go out there, try it out, and if it works, it works. Yeah. But
and when you're out there without adult supervision, you know, then it's
that's it. I was joking with somebody on the other stream. I said it like, you got to catch malaria for the hobby. Damn it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I ain't knocking what some of you cats is doing. You know, Petco's cool too. They got to make money. It's all good. You know, Walmart made it to where me growing up in rural Texas, it made it accessible to stuff, because we wasn't going to drive to the city all the time and go to the pet store.
Listen, I got a story. I got a story about this. Look, I was contacted by I think it was the BBC. They're doing the Green Planet. You know, what is this guy? Attenborough, right? Yeah, David. Yeah. So they're doing this. They're doing the Green Planet thing, and they're asking me, listen, we want to go to Caño Cristales, and you've been there. Can you help us? You know, tell us how. You know, give us some tips on what we're expecting. You know, what we should take, how we should do this. You know, and I'm like, okay. The first thing you want to do is buy some pills that, you know, that clear the water, that you know, when you drink it, you know, you're not going to get, you know, some parasite or something. That's the most important. And and they're like, yeah, like pills, you know, so yeah, they sell those chlorine or whatever it is. There's many other
Water
pills now.
purification
Yeah, the
tablets.
purification tablets.
No,
And,
I'm a veteran.
you know, I
know
told
about
you
you.
because where we're going, I say, listen, where we're going, there is a hole that is dug out of the ground, and the water, it's like a, wait up, English second language, wait up, it's a spring, right? It comes out of the ground, and it's full of rivulets. So you get the water out of there, and that's what we drink. So you want to get something that purifies it, because I made the mistake that I didn't do that, you know, the past 2 times I was there, and you know, you have to take a tablet after to take the, you know, the parasites out. So they were really curious in the channel, what happened to you when you got the parasites? And I said, well, your butt starts itching a lot, you know, and it starts really itching all the time, you know, and they were so, it went in their mind so much that half the people that were carrying stuff was bottled water that they brought. So they didn't even want to take the pill or put the pill in the thing. They brought their own water. While I was drinking from the rivulet still, you know, I'm like, oh, look, I got a rivulet, you know, like take it out, you know, scoop it out of the water and, you know, drink it. So, but you know, that's how you do it. You go, you just have to go, you know.
That's it. So, I mean, we got that out of the way. I know everybody's itching to get started. So if you don't mind, tell us about you. Like, what's your inspiration? Tell us, like, how did you go from a little bitty baby running around barefooted, para allá, en la mata, getting stuff, and to now, boom, talking to David Attenborough and them? Like, really?
Well, I never spoke to Attenborough. I wish, you know, since I was a kid, I used to look through his books, and I'd go through the images, and I'd be like, wow, you know, I was fascinated by this. It was actually the only books I could read, because, you know, if they told me to read the Iliad or whatever other things, it was not of my interest. It was really hard for me to read something else that wasn't nature related. But it all starts with an interest, right? And my interest as a kid, my mom was from Nicaragua, my dad was from Croatia, and they were immigrants. They came to Venezuela back in the 60s, you know, when here was a boom in the 50s and 60s, when this was like the promised land, Venezuela. Because remember, for example, the Concorde had 4 or 5 places where it used to land. It was London, Paris, New York, and Caracas. You know, so this was the promised land, and they were, you know, they came here, and my dad, as a Croatian, we always had an aquarium at home, always. And I was the type of kid that could stare in front of the aquarium, be there for a while looking at the fish. It probably soothed me a lot. I was really hyper, but not in a hyper way where you're hyper and just jumping around. I always had to be doing something. I was always busy doing stuff, you know? So I could clean the aquarium a lot. I wouldn't mind, you know, and it always soothed me, I guess. It was the only time I could rest is when I was in front of the aquarium. And and the other thing is that I had the interest of rivers. Every time I knew all the rivers when I was in first grade. So I was what, six years old, 5 or 6. I knew all the rivers that we would cross going to school. And I was the kid with his head out the window, you know, looking down to see what was there. Just like probably the orchid people today look upward out the window, you know, when you go on trips and they're looking up and you're the fish guy looking down, you know. Right. And so I was doing that all my life. We actually had 2 homes. We had one in Valencia where I live now and one in Caracas. And we moved 1 year here, 2 years over here, depending where my dad had more work. And we used to go a lot in that hour and 45-minute trip. And I knew where all the bridges were. You know, I knew where all the streams were. So I had these interests in photography, videography. I always had cameras since a kid and taking pictures, but I wasn't intelligent enough. I don't know what other word to use. I couldn't put the dots together until I met Oliver Lucanis from Below Water. Let's give him some advertisement. He has the book, The Amazon Below Water. His website is belowwater.com. And it was when I met him that I said, Jesus, he's me. He's connected the dots, photography, videography, aquarium hobby, and the rivers, and it was really cool for me because it was like an enlightenment. Really, it was really awesome. We were in the confluence between the Atabapo River and the Orinoco. And in that confluence, there's a lot of sandbars that form, but they're not sandbars that come out of the water. They're sandbars that are, it makes the water deep, for example, into your chest. So you can walk to way in there in the river, over these underwater dunes, sand dunes. So we're in the middle of the night, 1 o'clock in the morning, and we're trying to cross to the other side through these underwater sand dunes. And the moon is out, and we're in the middle of this. A river is a mile wide, in that confluence. There's three. It's the Guaviare, the Atabapo, and the Orinoco. And we're shuffling our feet because, of the Matoro stingrays and all these things. You can't walk like, you have to shuffle them. And we're trying to get the Altum. That's where Oliver got the Altum angelfish pictures for his book, the underwater one. So we're in the Atabapo for the Atabapo Altums. So we're crossing, and once he's photographing them underwater, etc., it's 12 o'clock at night. We're like in the middle of nowhere, you're a mile in the river, like water up to here. And then I said, geez, this guy's me. And once these dots connected, it's formed a circle and things started happening. And it's incredible in my life how things line up. It's sometimes freaky how things line up in my life. I tell you, it's sometimes I'm like, oh my God. And people that know me, they're like, man, you're the luckiest person.
Here listening that we talked, y'all. Yeah, wow.
You're the luckiest person who has ever lived, man. You're walking and things align. Things fall into place. But it's true, and I really am a believer that I never knew what I was good at. I was never good at anything. As a kid, I was the last person being picked to play whatever, soccer or baseball, whatever it was. They put us in a line and they say, here's the captain, here's the guy. You start picking the kids at school, and we got this guy, the good ones. And then they go the girls, and I'm still standing there. I'm there like Jesus, come on. And then they run out of people, and they're like, okay, you go there. And I'm like, man, we got Ivan. Jesus. I wasn't good at anything. And I wasn't good at anything until these three things connected. Because as one individual, I wasn't good. I wasn't good as an aquarist. I wasn't the best one as an aquarist or as this or as that. But when the three things connected, then I was good at something. So it's sometimes you don't need to be good at something. It's probably you have to grab like 5 or 6 things and say, okay, this is what I'm good at. I'm carrying this 5 things, and when they're together, okay, then, So that was the cool thing, that once these 3 things aligned, then things started happening. For example, I went and bought myself my first video camera underwater. That was that Sony one that you put in your pool. It's a sports, whatever they sell in the mall. And it cost me, like 3 months of my salary. and I went into the bush and I started videoing. And when I came back and I started posting on things on YouTube and on Facebook, which were opening. They were brand new. These things were just happening. When the videos would go viral when viral was 2,000 views. If you got 100, you were like, wow, you know. And people started noticing this, what we were doing, and people started entering this circle. People like Antonio Machado Allison, the great Venezuelan theologist,
Mhm.
he saw that I was doing this, but he told me, listen, I'm going to direct you in a way where this is going to make history. So you're just not jumping around doing, like whatever you want, going from, river hopping. I'm going to give it something that is going to do some good for humanity. It's like, let's leave something for humanity. Let's do science. Even though you're not a scientist, you can do a lot for science. Frank Magallanes, this was a Piranha person, and he went in, he started helping me out. Nathan Hill from Practical Fish Keeping. All these people started helping me without, they didn't ask me for money or, they just helped. And once this circle started growing to a point, and we started doing all this work, which I would have, as a hobbyist, as an aquarium hobbyist, I didn't even know these branches of the aquarium hobby exist, because they're very related. They're so related. So, ichthyology, ecology, limnology, all these things are extremely related to what we do, because we're scientists. We're measuring pH, GH, the diet balance, this breeding. We're scientists, right? But you don't know that until until people tell you. Well, that's what happens to me, because I'm not that, as I tell you, as I started, I'm not that intelligent. I'm a normal person. So it takes me a long time to understand things. But once this circle got to a certain point,
Mhm.
you start, first of all, what you say starts having weight. Okay? So people listen. And when you start to be in that position, you start also noticing that what makes the cool of the fish book cool is not you, it's the fishes. You start noticing that that you're so small between everything that it is there, that you have to have a word to preserve what you're doing. So, but that takes time to understand it. It takes a lot of time to understand that if you have a venue like you guys are here, and I don't put into my 2 cents to preserve what I love, then it doesn't make sense at all. So, but all this comes when the things align, and then the circle starts going. But it's all the help from all these people that just, started helping me out. So that was the cool part. I've been talking a lot. You guys now can.
No,
No.
everything you just said right now, everything has validated what me and Jorge have been doing since we started this project on YouTube, this collab, and more importantly for me personally, everything I've been trying to articulate on YouTube, down to recording and sharing, being my peer group is my viewers and subscribers. The science I'm doing is my projects. I'm recording my results. I'm sharing my data with the peer group, who is you all out there, and we keep the loop going. And it's everything you said. It just validates it 100%. And I'm just gonna keep going.
It's a perfect example, because we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing if people weren't willing to help us out when we try to bring on guests. We've been very fortunate that we have never been turned down when we do a guest request. And so it goes to show that, yes, this community in general, and I'm talking about, globally, I guess because we're so different from everybody else, because we're wanting to keep stuff in water boxes, that when we find somebody else that has that similar affinity for that we're willing to help.
Mhm.
It's just, it's just kind of like, oh yeah, you're as weird as I am because you're keeping fish in
Totally.
in a glass box.
Yeah,
And
demented enough. Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
so I know in my case, and I've always said this, I'm the only one in my family that even has aquariums at all. Everybody else kind of looks at me as the oddball because everybody else
Weirdo.
has different stuff. Yeah, I'm the weirdo of the family especially because I have so many aquariums.
Totally, totally. But you imagine how weird, for example, Alexander von Humboldt looked when he was carrying plants around in suitcases across the Pacific, or the Atlantic,
Mhm.
sending them back, when people were dying of whatever it was, and they were collecting flowers and stuff. It's the same thing. But listen, the cool part about this is that we all started practically in aquariums or having plants, orchids, or whatever. But the things what let me see how I can put this so people can explain. I don't want people to misunderstand me. There's we have the aquarium,
Mhm.
and that's, for example, let's say like the first step. Then you got, for example, aquascaping, biotopes, etc., which would be like level 2. And the thing that made me understand where I was standing in the world were the wild aquariums that I was making. Because the wild aquariums that we were making had a difference between biotopes, which was that we wanted the people from each place in the world to go out to their nearest body of water and learn what was there and admire what was there and learn it and make that place theirs and show it to the people, show it to the world in a proud way to instill this like a feeling of belonging, and when you do that, then you enter a different thing where the hobby becomes something that is more transcendental in time. For example, it shows how we can move forward into not only admiring a cardinal tetra that comes from who knows where, it gives value to what you have also near you. And that was probably people misunderstood or didn't understand it yet, but that was what made me explain where the hobby becomes something more and you become more important and you dignify yourself because you are helping in ecology by showing what is there at that moment and registration, etc. You become a scientist. So that was the vision behind that wild aquarium movement that we wanted to start. And we went to Mexico. We did this with the Profundulos, Oaxaca, that was going extinct. We brought kids, from the schools, etc. And but really, there's much more than just the aquarium in your house. And that's what I've been trying to, let's say, preach. That the wild. I try to dignify what I show. I try to find the best possible way to inspire people to do what I do, and they don't have to wind up doing what I do, but at least they can, try to understand that vision of preservation of what they have near them.
It's just so interesting that you just.
I'm kind of shook. I ain't gonna lie. I turned my
because
thing off because I was tearing up like a sissy. I ain't gonna lie.
You just validated everything.
Everything verbatim.
Everything that we've
like
talked about.
If I didn't know who you were, I'd be like, man, you stole my idea, and I'd be like trying to find you so I could beat you up. Like seriously, I'm so serious. Like I had to close the thing. Like it's that sense of ownership of being able to go outside in this ditch and say, this is Cambodia. a finis.
And this is mine. It's my kombucha.
It lives here.
Yeah.
I'm throwing that damn trash in the water. Like
totally.
Wow.
Totally. And that's
it.
That's it. Your aquarium is just what is there because it's the first step.
That's it.
That's it. It's the basics, you know? It's the basics to understand that the pH is not there. The pH is out there. And you know, so that's what I do. And it's not only the fishes, it's the plants. Now I'm finishing the books of the Flora of the Orinoco.
Oh,
and there's a lineup of books that are coming, but it's not only the fishes, because the fishes depend on everything else.
Right.
So we cannot just save the fishes. You know, we have to sort of help to save or do what we can to save everything. And sometimes we feel like we can't do anything, but we can. And the thing that I have seen that helps a lot is exactly what I've been doing. Listen, I'm an aquarist from Valencia, Venezuela. Really? And I'm talking to you guys.
Right.
You know, I have now the weight in that circle where my something means something that you guys invite me. So if I can do this, man, which I'm a normal person, you know, anybody can do this. Swear to God. So that's what I mean, that we owe it to the hobby. We owe it to whoever is coming after us in the world to, you know, help out.
Okay. And you said you're from Venezuela, right?
Yeah, I'm from Venezuela.
Right.
You know,
I'm emotional, so I'm gonna deflect. That's what I do. But can you clarify something for the people? Like, you from there? Like,
yeah, I've never lived. I've never lived anywhere else. I've lived here.
Okay.
I was lucky enough that my parents were foreigners, and they put me in international school, so I learned English. But I'm English second language, so you know.
Born in Venezuela.
Yeah.
So there's literature around the fish, and it's popular. I keep it. It's Posilia wingae, the endless live there.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's literature going around, and I use it anecdotally as an example to show how to build discernment, how to research, how to cite your sources, etc. Because in this new charlatan internet era, a lot of misinformation can get spread. And one of the anecdotal examples I used is there's a lot of literature floating around about the origin story of the Endler's live bearer. And I'm big on nuance. One of my sayings is nuance is the difference between you did that or you full of you know what. So based on that nuance, I speak Spanish, and I know that there's a huge difference between a duck and a plate. So is it pato or plato, where the inlets were found? Because these people, I'm not going to say who, didn't check their stuff and were too not researching enough to just look at a map and see how it's spelled. And some literature has plate and some literature has duck.
Ducks. Patos.
Patos.
Patos. Yeah, just like the StreamYard logo up there.
Right there.
So, yeah. Patos.
There's just an example that I anecdotally have used in the past to show people how to check stuff and check it with scrutiny. And speaking of ducks, it's this phenomenon that me and Jorge described about the internet and the gateway. So you have social media, you have this space. You have Jimmy John, and they go get some money, they go get a fish. They come home, they type in on Google, what kind of fish is it? The Wikipedia article comes up first based on what the pet store person told them, and then boom, the videos start to pop up of all the people sensationalizing this fish. And then they get indoctrinated into the world of YouTube, social media, sensationalized aquarium. And it's like a baby duck or a baby chicken. They get imprinted, you know, you hatch and it's like, hey, you're my mom. And even though those individuals grow and mature in the hobby, they're imprinted by said individual, and they have this attachment to that individual, and they start to kind of overlook some of the stuff that they don't agree with. they start to defend them vehemently anytime somebody says anything. And it's not personal, it's science, empirical data. But no, we're dealing with this imprinted baby duck syndrome. And that's what I'm trying to get away from. Hey, if that's cool if you want to, but we're trying to create a space for those other people because they don't have anything to go to. Those seasoned hobbyists, those people that have a little more discernment, etc. You have this thing where the old timers, they're going to the meetings 2-3 times a year. That's what you got, and probably Facebook, and that's the closest to social media they're gonna get. And because of Facebook, they're not foraying any further. And then you have the other people, and they think, well, that's the internet, that's a toys for the kids. So we're trying to cultivate this. We're not trying, we are. We're cultivating this space in the internet. And it's a testament to everything you just said of just do it. Just do it. I'm a normal person, just like what you said.
I'm a normal person. The only great thing I have done is to do something that really does not make any money and spend some time in it. That's it. That's the radical thing in it. There's nothing else that is radical in it. That's it. Because usually people give up really quick when they see there's no money in something, and that's it. There's no fund. We have never gotten funded from, this is all from the pocket.
Yeah.
So not giving up, I guess, and that's it.
Well, that's the task.
Normal Aquarius from Valencia, Venezuela. But I do have advantages, which is that I'm relatively closer to fish people love than other people. For example, when Oliver did his book Below Water, he came here twice or 3 times or something. And what he got was what he got, right? You go to Tanganyika, and if you're there when there's a lot of waves and the water's a little bit murkier with a lot of backscatter, that's what you got. But being here gave me, and there was a period for 15 years where gas was for free. So I put 500,000 kilometers into my first car, which I don't know how far away the moon is. But this was, I sold my truck when it hit 500,000 kilometers.
Dang.
And my truck now that I have now is 240,000 kilometers. So I should make a book saying the first 750,000 kilometers. But really all this work was done just from the car, where the car could get you. And but if you are here and you just have to go, and you can go to the same river, let's say in 15 years, you go 40 times to a stream. Right. And out of those 40 times, you have thousands of images of that underwater in that stream. But at the 41st time that you went, the water was hyper clear and all the fish were there. And you take all these pictures, right? And you're like, you get it at the exact moment where it is at its greatest. And of course, Oliver can't, if he didn't come in those, over 15 years, that day, if he wasn't there, I had a more luck to, I have more chance to get that day. Mm-hmm. And that's why you see these images. And if you look at the dates and the places, because they all have a GPS location, you'd say, oh, this guy just went out 50 times or 20 times out of the hundreds. Right. But you're just seeing the best of the best at that moment in time of that place. And that's how you dignify things. That's why I'm saying you have to do it in your local place. Because, you for sure, you see that the stream that is next to you is clearer sometimes and sometimes it's darker if you're looking at it all the time, and if you go there every weekend and you do this for 15 years, you're going to own the place, it's yours. And that's what I've done in the Orinoco. Of course, there's gonna be needed like 5 of me because the Orinoco is it's 2 countries. It's humongous. So this book actually has, I think it's 15% because it's 151 species and there's 1,120 described now. So it's only 10%.
Yeah. That's crazy.
It's 18 years of work.
We're already here.
18 years of work for 10%, you know? So geez.
You might as well go into ecology then, because you're already talking about it. And that was the next topic anyway, is you're talking about going somewhere over 15 years, 1 million times, getting the best of the best.
But that's how you dignify things.
Right?
How do you dignify your work? How else are you going to present it? Right? If you really have a love for something, you're not going to show it the worst way you can or the first way you got it. Only if you were there once and that's the only thing you got. Okay, that's it. But you really I try to present it in the best way possible, so people could go, like, wow, I want to do something like that. Right. And that's how I inspire people. That's how things are going to get taken care of. If you only take the photographs of the trash and how ugly the place is, it's really not probably going to get really preserved. I guess, I don't know. It's a different thing. There's people.
No. I think
there's different ways of doing the job. There's different ways of doing the job. You got people that cover a lot of distance in expeditions, and they put fish in a bag and they put their hand, and they take a picture of it with their hand or in a bag, and they cover a whole country in a week and they catch 100 species. I'm in a ditch, for 8 days, going behind an apistogramma gutata until I see it spitting. And I take the pic and I missed it. So I have to spend the whole day again, following it until I catch the thing. But it's not that one is better than the other. It's just a different kind of job. It's a different way that I envision how I want to give respect to what I do. Like I was telling you, it's dignifying it,
Right, yeah. I like that.
It's dignifying things, I think they deserve a respect. And I try to give them the best respect I can.
I'm going to say you do a good job. I'm pretty sure most people would agree. Like, has there been anything personally that you've observed, science-y, like when you're talking about following the epistogramma, waiting for it to spit, like just you? Because let me frame it this way. I'm a country boy. I know stuff from my land here that I know. And I'm in college now because I'm going to put the science behind it. But colloquially, there's things that I observed that I would like to bounce against people. For example, I observed ephemeral ponds in our pasture. They're dry. Then it'll rain. It's not fed by anything. I go in there, there's gambosia, there's killifish, there's stuff. And I'm like, okay, cool. I know what killifish do. I know what diapause is. I know that. But I'm talking about the poecilia. Do they go in the mud and put like a mucosal sac or something in those cracks and then like pop out? Like, has anybody observed that? Because, so have you seen anything like that? That's kind of fringe,
Listen, poecilia, I've never seen them doing that, but the book I made, The Fishes of the Orinoco in the Wild, it was they said it was by PFK. They named it the second best fish book ever.
Damn. And
I asked them why, and they said, listen, because the only thing that is in there is what the fish do. That's it. There's nothing in there. There's like, listen, this fish goes from here to here, and it does this and it does that. And in the wild, it eats this, and it goes here, and it does this, and then it goes from here. It has a range of 6 meters. That's all. That's his territory. He has 3 females. But it's all what he does there. That's it. Not in the aquarium. Oh, it looks good in the aquarium if you feed him, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
Or no, it's this plant is here, and he lives next to that plant under it, and he lays his eggs on top of this because at this time of the year, because of this. So there's only field observations of hours and hours of, of being there with the fish. It's like living with them. That's it. There's nothing else in that book. So it is a testimony for them. It's what they do. You understand? I don't know if you guys are understanding where I'm going. The important thing are the fish and their habitat.
I'm tracking.
The habitat, the ecology. That's our world. Our planet is what is important, not freaking us or the aquarium.
Right.
It's us and whoever's going to come after. That's it.
Amen.
And that's what. I'm not a scientist, so I couldn't really make a book which is very scientific. Right. So it only has what I observe in the aquarium, but instead of the aquarium was in the pond, right? It's like the same thing if you got a family of pumpkin seed, right? And you were there in that same place for 10 years looking at what they're doing and you're documenting it. Who's going to be the expert in pumpkin seed after 10 or 15 years? The person that had it,
go ahead. This set something in
the person
motion
that fished it, the person that fished it and ate it, the person that had it in the aquarium, or you?
Yeah. No, the only thing I wanted to add to what you were saying, which is something that I saw that was very interesting in the series of videos that you were doing, and I think it was like on of episode 1 or something like season 1, where around 8, where you and George Fear are in the truck. And you guys have just come back from watching the piranhas in that pond, and you guys are talking about how are you going to document and how you want to go about capturing this to try to make it part of science. That conversation to me was
that's how me and him chop it up. It's just amazing.
Is there two idiots? You know, like
no, it's not that. It's not that. It's the fact, again, being able to see the evolution of what you were doing, because it starts out as really not really having a direct guide.
No guide.
And you can see where George is kind of like, wow, you're going to need more than just this to be able to make it a point. And he starts telling you, well, if you got to capture some information with it, because if people go back and look at this information, they got to be able to understand what was going on. That conversation in that vehicle to me was one of the most interesting, because I can take that conversation that took place about 10, 11 years ago, and take it into context as to what's going on now. And the end result is being that book. And it's so amazing that you can make that connection as a consumer to go, oh, this is where this
they were doing. Yeah.
And that to me, I mean, like I said, I've taken a big deep dive into watching all of this stuff, because it makes me understand where you're at now, where you came from to be where you're at now. And that to me was real interesting. The other thing I wanted to talk about, and this is something that this is when you were doing the biotypes out by the river. When did you discover you could run on water?
You could run out water?
That you
mean with a bag?
Water? No. That you could run on the surface of water.
Oh, that snake thing. Oh, Jesus. Yes, totally. Oh, my God. Yeah.
I'm not, everybody that's known me for a while knows that me and snakes, Jews do not really get along. But I remember watching that. It was so crazy the way those snakes responded to you, that that's what my nightmares are made of. That out of the blues, and how quick and agile. I mean, I guess I was hyper observant, because I have a fear for snakes. That when you're in there, all of a sudden,
no rheumatism or no arthritis, then you're just like, woohoo!
See this glimpse, and then you could see you try to pan and see what it was, because
I wasn't gonna bring that up, but
and then the next, I have to, because I understand that fear.
Yeah.
But was it because it was a snake, or because what kind of snake was that? Was that a venomous snake, or
it's they're called Helicopsa angulatus. But to put it into context of the people that didn't see the skit, we're making Wild Aquarium. I think it was 2 or 3, where we're making this. We put an aquarium next to the river, and we're putting everything that is in the river in the aquarium. I think it was cardinal tetras and some apistogramma. So we film underwater, for example, a plant, and then we put the plant in the aquarium, and you see how we put it in the aquarium. And then we film the sand or whatever, and then we put the sand in the aquarium. And there's in this stream, there's a place that has a lot of overgrown bush, and it's very dark, and we call it the death tunnel or something like that, because every time you pass through there, you get attacked by snakes. So, but I was not really in the tunnel because we've been chased out many times from there, but I was outside of the tunnel, and I was thinking I was safe there, but I was filming some cardinal tetras, and when I I look here, there's this big female, and then I'm looking at my feet, and there's a male like going at my feet. There was 2 or 3 snakes there. There was 2 or 3, and they're on top of me, and it was like Christ on top of the water, like it was. I like in the cartoons where you're running on top of the water. The water's like over knee deep, and I was out of there in seconds. It was really funny how these snakes attacked us, but they have the fangs. I think they're small and in the back, so they really have to get a good hold of you to inject you with venom. But they're called Helicops angulatus, which is the false pit viper or something like that. They have some poison, but they'd have to like really grab you some way because the fangs are in the back, not in the front. But I didn't know that back then. I thought they were pit vipers, so I ran for it. I was no arthritis, nothing. I was running out of there.
Again, my fear. I got to get rid of this fear of these snakes. But anyways, what I found fascinating is the behavior of the animal. How it swam towards you, and then it popped up and looked right at you.
Looking at me
at the camera, and it's kind of like trying to make a judgment whether you are a threat or not. But at the same time, you're so focused on what's immediately in front of you that all of a sudden you see. I think it's number 2, Steve. And all of a sudden, out of the sights, when you kind of pan down, there's these other ones that are making their way.
Yeah, it's number 2. This one is number 3. These are neon tetras.
Now, were you laying in the water at that point? Because I know that's one of your techniques. Is you kind of lay flat.
I lay flat, and it's not only that. I have a lead belt that is 12 kilos, so it has 24 pounds of lead. On my I have a lead belt which is 24 pounds of lead. Yeah, you have to go forward like halfway probably. Yeah. But anyway, it's later on we I really don't like insects either, but that's why I'm not on National Geographic. You remember this guy? What was his name? The crocodile hunter.
Yes.
That he would grab the snakes and put them, on top of his, the most dangerous ones in Australia or whatever. But I that's why they don't hire me there, because I'm cautious. I run away. I'm the guy that runs away. So yeah, well, you guys see it. It's Wild Aquarium 2 on YouTube. You can. That's it. Yeah, that was.
I was just to me what really captured me is the behavior that you were able to capture, because you could tell that story as an adventure that happened out there, but to see how fast they were, how agile,
right.
And then all of a sudden the positions that each one of them took, getting ready to see if they were going to attack or not. That to me was mind blowing. It's what nightmares are made of for me, to be able to see that. But that was just one of the things that I needed to find out what was it like for you, because obviously your reaction on camera kind of goes in par with the way I would have behaved.
But I should have taken it off because it's really shameful. It's like, because other person would be like, oh man, this is the opportunity, let's grab it, and then and
that brings up a good point.
So
I didn't know what they were.
All of that really boils down to, because nobody really addresses this, what are the real dangers of going out into the wild?
That's what I was just
None. Okay. Here it's people. But humans, Nothing,
Yeah.
nothing. Well, if you are the guy that grabs everything, then yeah, just don't, put the camera in front of it, but don't touch it, and you'll be okay. It's very rare that something will happen to you. Use your common sense, which without adult supervision, sometimes you get in trouble. We were in some situations where we were not smart enough, but like getting into the death hole with George Fear, etc., and feeding all those piranhas in our underwear, But anyway, we did it for I did it for many years and I never got bit, So if the piranhas don't bite you in clear water usually. If you're in murky water, you'll get eaten alive. But if it's clear water, they don't see you as a prey. They're not used to eating you, so they don't we have hundreds of them around us and we're feeding them with our hands.
Well, the craziest
While you were talking about the
was
ditches and stuff.
one of the things that I found so fascinating when you guys were filming precisely that, where you guys took that piece of a bone with meat on it, is to see George push piranhas out of the way with his hand when they're in a feeding frenzy.
Isn't that cool? Like,
that is nuts.
It has like 200 views or 1,000 views. It shows exactly how you feed piranhas underwater in your underwear or your pants. Like really, that should have had millions of views, and it didn't. That's why we never edited the last episode. It's in our hard drives. We never edited the last episode. We never did it. We never edited. We filmed it, but we never put it live.
Can you talk about that? Because a lot of people get mad at me because I have tons of footage that I won't publish, and it's the same thing. You get disheartened because you're out there literally getting malaria for the hobby, and then you post it, and it's like crickets. And then, I'm not gonna say nothing, but there's that sensationalized stuff. But one of the points that you brung up, and I talk about this a lot, is going to the ecology phase of it. So I do plants, and I use Bucephalandra as an example of how you got the deforestation, you got the palm oil factories, and what happens is access. The average person ain't going in the bushes. So with human activity, we start getting access to stuff. And unfortunately, most of the time we get access to it, it's too late. So if you could kind of elaborate on that, like what you've seen in your own country and just in your decades of, bush trekking.
Well, I think I said it many times, but there's the Altum angelfish, for example. Mm-hmm. And listen, our hobby is really great. Our aquarium hobby is great. But you have to understand that we're human, right. So we have, people who are down there who live with these fishes that we want to buy. They have kids, they have to feed, they have families, they have this, they have aspirations, right? Just like any other person. They're probably their partner or their wife says, listen, the other one has a bicycle and I don't have a bicycle or a motorcycle, and and the other one has a pickup truck and I don't, and there's a pressure, right? We're human. Right. So you see this, that, for example, there's the Pavoni River, and it was the mecca of Altum angelfish back in the 80s. And when the Altum started going out and being sold, and the exporters, the people that catch the fish to sell them in the hobby, they lived near the town of Ayacucho, and Pavoni River is half an hour, 45 minutes away. Mm-hmm. So they started getting all the Altum angelfish. Altum angelfish are really easy to catch by night. If you go in by night with a boat, with a dugout canoe or whatever you have, and you light them up with they're all in the surface. I guess because could be electric eels, catfish that are more night things are in the bottom, so they are towards the top. They sort of, are in the top. So you can net them really easily. You can get 5,000 one night, You can clear out a whole stream or half a stream in one night. So that's what they do. So they would, go here and clear this out for, a week or 2 or 3 weeks until there was none there. And then they would go to the next one because they had to sell the fish. People buy the fish and, they want to buy there and feed their family or buy a better house, a bigger house or whatever. And until let's say circumference, is that how you say it in English? Until the circumference doesn't allow you for what they cost to go fish them.
Right. So they got to go somewhere else.
Because they pay you probably in whatever pet shop, they're $20. I don't know how much an Alton angelfish is in the US, but they probably get 25 cents for one. Okay. So if they can't get 100 at least, they in this whatever it costs them to go with the gas, to that moment, then they won't catch them. Okay. But everything around there is, depleted, right? But what happens then? So what happens then is that the shipper says, I don't have more angelfish, but the one from Irinida does. So they deplete that. And, so that area starts getting depleted of that fish. And that goes like that, right? But that's not the worst part. The worst part is that that happened in the Pavoni River. There were thousands. And then for 10, 15 years, we were there. We didn't see one. I got a phone call like 2 months ago of an aquarium person, an aquarist, who was very excited that they went to the Pavoni River after so many years and they found a pair of Alton angelfish that had probably gone from the Orinoco and entered and, was colonizing that again. And I said, that was so cool. Do you have the geographic location or something to know where, to see how it goes? I said, no, I brought him home. I had caught him and I have him in my house in the aquarium. So then, again, I don't want to be polemic or something with the aquarium hobby because our hobby is really great.
Oh, but no, you're on the right channel. You can do whatever you want.
But we're human, and the people that we deal with are human, and we want that angelfish. And those people, if they only can, if someone wants to buy them that, they'll buy it, they'll sell it, And it comes the moment where this will keep continue, right? This is not going to stop, right? It's not like we're going to stop buying fish, right? So we do sometimes try to buy things that are bred, like bred fish. How do you call those? Captive bred. How do you call them?
That's it.
And so that's what I can say. Listen, try to buy and try to breed it and try to give it out, and try to sell it, whatever. But try to do it, try to use as less things that come from nature, I guess. And try to document what you have nearby. Man, I would have if I lived in the US, I would love to have pumpkin seed and stuff like that. And there's so many interesting fish. If I lived imagine if you lived somewhere else exotic. There's fishes everywhere, right. And I believe that some people have begin to understand this, and I see a lot in the biotope contest. They make me like judge in many of these biotope contests, and now you're seeing that there's less South American, etc. There's more like the Chinese person that's from China. The person in Palau does one from Palau, and you see the cool fish they have in Palau, and you see the cool fish they have in Australia and in the middle of the desert, and and then that people didn't know about, right? And I think that's the beauty of it. I think that's where things are probably going to head sometime, when people start appreciating what they have nearby.
Speaking of the biotope competition, now, like I like doing them, and I explained it to my viewers. They know we didn't have no money when I was a kid, but we grew up in the 80s and 90s. We used to have to do those dioramas for school. So with whatever vessel I had until I could get my first 10-gallon, anytime I had a fish, I would create a diorama for it basically trying to make it as comfortable as possible so I could observe that behavior, because I get a whooping for getting my clothes dirty, trying to look them in the ditch. So I had to figure out another way to do it. So you pair that, you move forward in like the late 90s. I think I was getting ready to go to college the first time. I come across Takashi Amano, and I think TFH did a article on him, like a little hit piece, because he hadn't hit really in the Western world yet. I go to college, that didn't do, join the Navy, come back like 2005-ish, like as far as looking at the hobby, looking at media, magazines and stuff, and it's all over the place, aquascaping. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. And then I look at it and I'm like, it's cool, but it's not sustainable. That's not nature. Like I some of my close friends, I talk to them and I draw these correlations and I tell them, I'm like, look, it's the same as if I tell my wife we finna go on a date and we're gonna go to nature, and I take her to this posh garden with a bunch of topiary and stuff. I didn't lie. It's nature, but it ain't natural. Or if I say, baby, we finna go to nature, saliendo para el bosque, and we go in the woods for real, I didn't lie. And it's really nature and it's natural. So like watching that and looking at the biotope competitions, I always watch when you judge, and I'd be like laughing at people because I'd be saying, man, he be eating their ass alive, you're eviscerating them finally. And I'm not knocking nobody, but it was like one time you're like, you gotta learn the species of plants, okay? Variegated species that might work in an AGA competition, but not here. Those are cultivars, my friend. Those aren't wild type. And you weren't knocking people. It's just trying to cultivate this space where iron sharpens iron, because it ain't about us. It's about outside nature and understanding that this is empirical data. And if you're going to do science, it will behoove you to learn how to be objective. Take your emotion out of it, because we're just trying to make sure that the critters can keep crittering. That's it. And so the turbid water, I've been working on that forever based off of a comment from a show you did one year. And every year since then, you would be on their ass about how you gonna sit up here and say you doing a river biotope or a fast water biotope and the water is crystal clear. Make the math. So I've been trying to figure out how to do it. I've gotten pretty close. But if you could kind of elucidate that, speak to the fact of understanding the difference between art, nature, and when you try to do a restoration, which is making a real wild area in an aquarium in your house to the best you can, that's completely different than doing something that was supposed to be nature inspired, but not necessarily natural. If you could elaborate on that in your experience, because you're in the realm.
You're going to put me in a tight position here, because this is totally personal point of view.
It is. It's all subjective.
It's totally personal. I believe that people that love aquascaping and they make these, like the mountains and the pathways. I believe that some people are really good at that, because if I try to make that, I could not do it. But one of the things that made me change much of, because I always said, listen, this doesn't look like, nature or whatever. Mm-hmm. But what made me change my mind was an aquarium that made by someone called Oliver Knott. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Yeah, everybody knows.
Okay, Oliver Knott. Okay, and I was one day on the social media, and I saw an aquarium that he made, where I was looking at it on my TV screen. On my sometimes I pair my phone with my TV and I start scrolling like the same thing, but I'm on TV.
It was a tank.
And it was a tank. It was an aquarium with Star Wars, like the swamp of a Star Wars, where the Luke Skywalker fell or something in there. Mm-hmm. And Yoda was there, I guess. I don't really, was a representation of that, and it had the Lego or something in there that it was that. And I was looking at it, right, smiling because it really looked cool, but you know, it wasn't. And my kids that were there with me, they were like, wow, that is so cool. Dad, we have to do something like that. And I've been trying to engage my kids into fishes in an aquarium, and it's really been really hard because you can't beat a cell phone or whatever. But this really engaged them. So it made me think, geez, you know, this is, you know, there's people that there's so many people that like skinny, dark, wide, you know, that's what makes the world fun. So I guess I started looking at it in a different way from that aquarium. And I said, you know what? Everything is a go as long as you're not hurting the fish, you know, and you're doing it in a dignifying way. And if you really like that and that's your thing, go for it. It's not going to enter a biotop contest, you know, but if the kids love it and that brings them to nature, man, go ahead. So I'm very, I really want to be into speaking well, doing well, trying to bring people forward. And I think that's how we should vision it. Not that one is better than the other. It's just that some people like that. But again, this is the first step. Mm-hmm. There's so much after that, you know, beyond the aquarium. That's the word of a new book I should make. Beyond the aquarium. There's, I already told you 2 books. I'm going to make 2 books. That's beyond the aquarium. Beyond the aquarium, which would be the religion, the preaching, you know, behind it. And because
let me do the forward.
Okay, done. Deal.
I'm serious.
Deal.
All right, good. All right, well, I'll show you my transcripts.
Yeah. But really, it's Oliver, not Oliver Lucanus. All these people that remember, there's things that sell well and that are worth a lot of money, but they're not worth nothing.
Substance, no value. Oh, wow. Wow.
They sell well, right? And people, and they cost a lot, but they have nothing. It's not worth nothing. And I believe that these people that there are some people that don't get any recognition, you know, and they're in a worse position than we are, because they even do more. There's explorer here from the Orinoco, the Lasso family, Carlos Lasso and Oscar Lasso. They've done 20 times more than me, 1,000 times more than me. They're like Humboldt, right, today, but they don't speak English, so much of them don't have the audience to go and speak English. I'm the lucky one that can speak English, but they don't get the recognition. And there's thousands of people like this, and those are the ones that are worth all the money in the world.
You sure you don't want to be like a special guest on a house guest? Because you sound like me and Jorge right now. Like you sound like a synopsis of every show we've done since episode 1. What?
Oh man, I wish I could, but I don't have time. You know, the most valuable thing we have is time. That's the most valuable thing we have.
Either that, and or binge watched I have 3 kids for a week or 2. It's one of the 2. There's got to be something, because it's synergy. I speak about synergy all the time, and energy, how it flows, how it moves. There's this.
Well, probably we could meet at I don't know if I'm going to get invited this year to the ACA. I spoke in the ACA last year.
I remember you sent me a message about that, because I said I want to go swimming.
Oh man, we went.
Yeah, I saw that.
Fishing, swimming under. Oh, it was. You know, that's, you know, those are the valuable times in life.
Exactly. Tommy, Mark, all of y'all, Curtis, everybody, we going swimming. Jorge.
We did not speak practically about fish. We went fishing, but we were talking about our aspirations, the things that are really valuable in life, and that's the good part, and that we're all fish people, which are usually the ones that are the weird in the corner or something like that. And well, we're all like that. So, we got together.
But like when you get that valuable connection that you can cherish, come on now. And I said that on the last episode. It's about that, right? Like the internet, I see it as an opportunity. It's just like what you said, Ivan. Not here to knock nobody. It's all beautiful, man, as long as you're not hurting the babies. As long as you're not hurting the animals or using nature as your opportunity for a clout, trampling I say it a little more explicit. Don't be effing up the nature, trying to get selfies, and you are trampling on, undisturbed areas and stuff. So have some respect, but yeah, go out there, use common sense.
Total respect.
Have fun. We live here. This is our home. And so I'm right there with you on that. I'm tracking.
Dignity and respect.
Yeah, and just to go back a little bit on what you were saying about having people appreciate what's immediately outside of where they live, I think you've inspired quite a few people to do that. We've had a couple of guests on here with Ryan from Wild Fish Tanks and Kenny from ABC Biotope Creations, Mark Piles. These are all guys that are doing precisely what you said about going out into their own backwoods and seeing what's there and documenting what's there and bringing the awareness that sometimes we don't have to go very far to find very unique and interesting species because we have them in our own backyard, embracing what's ours. So just, your word, what you're preaching or saying, it's getting out there. And it's the positive side of the hobby that I really enjoy seeing expand. You have channels like Cold Water Aquatics, I think.
Aquatics,
he's doing exclusively native fish.
Natives.
The region of where he's at.
Right. The region, because if you're in the U.S., you're a whole continent practically. The U.S. is huge.
I live in Texas. We have micro ecosystems here everywhere. And let me tell you, I'm going to give you your flowers now. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity to do it quasi in person. I'm getting chill bumps. Sitting there watching you with a 20-gallon at the ditch, getting rocks and sticks and getting in your drawers and going jump in the ditch, catch the fish, do everything. When my face got hot like I wanted to cry, and I was like, who the hell is this cat over here? And I was just been sucked in since. And it validated everything I've been doing this whole journey. I've been in the hobby since I was a kid. I had a tumultuous upbringing, and this is my therapy for the PTSD, Just like you, I couldn't be still. I wasn't never good at nothing. The whole nine. And we're not here for that, to go dark, but it's so many parallels. So to hear you put weight to it and talk about your childhood, how you came, I was just like, damn, I had to, black the screen.
I was good at nothing, man.
And so it's like, well, talk about synergy, birds of a feather. Maybe that's my brand, right? And then I see you on YouTube with a fish tank. And I'm like, what is this dude doing? And I was like, he wilding. And then I looked at the next one. I was like, oh shit, I got a tablecloth. And I looked at the next one. I was like, hell yeah. And it just brought me all the way back to me.
Hey, but it's done with the dignity. It's done with dignity. It's I carry that freaking cooler. I carry the freaking black thing. The rag. It's done, and it's done with real dignifying what you do. And I try to align the camera perfectly. It's 2 days of work, and it lasts 40 minutes to see. It's 2 days of work in the bush, sleeping there, and that's what we're about, man. That's what's beyond the aquarium again. It's just going the extra. Not being able to sit still, I guess, but really I'm a normal person. I'm a normal guy that didn't know what the hell he was good at, and he just loved aquariums and river and the outside. And that's most of the aquarium people. if you think about it.
Uh,
Where there's many people that are similar.
I wanted to ask you something, Ivan, because I know, and you kind of alluded to that, and I really, as much as I would love to keep you here all day, I know you said,
right.
Do you have any time constraints? Because I know
I'll be gone in 5. Let's do 5 more, and then I'll be gone.
Good. That's perfect.
So before we do that, then, is there, obviously you've preached about doing conservation or anything like that? Is there a place where people that would be interested in contributing to what you're doing? What are the resources out there for people to get involved and help support with the cause that you're doing?
With my cause, we have a donation thing, a donation button on my website, which probably has a lot of spider webs in it, on it, you know. But I don't know, because I really need now. I need a new truck, so I need a lot, you know, because I need to go around, and in an old car going in the bush, it's horrible. But listen, you can buy my books, because seems to be the only product, and my art. It seems to be what people are willing to buy as a product, you know. So the book, yeah, we're making the new book of the Flora of the Orinoco, and hopefully that will come out in a couple of months. But there's art there, but there's in the website there's a donation button on the top, and that's how you guys can help me. But really, what you guys need to do is keep on doing what I'm talking to you, both of you now, is keep on doing what you're doing, and keep on inviting guests that are worth something. You know, the talk about if this fish is prettier than the other one is overdone, I think. So you don't want to keep on doing the same thing. And I think you guys are a great team. So
Thank you.
So get the book or the art. If you like art there, you can buy it, and that will help me a lot. But we also have, for example, we're assessing there's the IUCN, International Union of Conservation of Nature, right? They have the red list, international red list. So we're assessing 100 fish that have never been assessed before from the Guyana Shield. Okay? And so we're doing that right now. And the work we're doing is really good. And we're doing a great job at it. And it doesn't get paid much. So if you guys can donate, I will make sure that the people involved in assessing them at least can buy themselves a laptop, you know, and have internet to assess them better. But look at the diamond tetra. Here you have the diamond tetra. There's a bridge. There's a river where they went extinct because there's a bridge that was made out of cement, and it's like, I don't know, 9 feet, 10 feet high in cement, and then the water falls over, and the diamond tetras can't go over. And so they got extinct in the top part. So we wanted to change that bridge to a tube or something that fish could go freely, you know, in the stream and colonize where they were before. But we cannot get any grants or anything, because the fishes are not evaluated in the red list. So they're not, if they're not evaluated, you can't get grants for them, I guess. So we're first evaluating all these fishes. So we first, you know, it's kind of like a bureaucracy, or it's the vicious circle of misery, where you don't have money to fix it because they're not in danger, but you can't fix it because you don't have the money. So it goes around in circles. So if you guys give some money to that, we can assess them correctly. So then we can start, you know, doing things like that. You know, but we're working on this all the time, even though it comes out of our pockets.
You know, I want to thank you for just being here and validating everything that we are gonna do for the hobby, and organically validating what we're doing, bringing people on of substance, not just being two dudes hanging out on the internet wasting people's time. There's too much of that.
There's so
Showing
much of
that,
it. Yeah, totally.
seriously, showing that the internet is like a mycelium. We are connected. That the
Totally.
hobby is
Listen,
great.
you know who you
That
have
we
to
can do
interview?
things.
I
Yeah.
would interview. There's many people that I'll send you a list of people that I would interview that have substance.
Thank you.
And one of them
Thank you.
is a great American painter, a master called Flick Ford. Flick Ford is a great one of the great American masters painting fish.
Okay.
And his website is flickford.com. And I went to his house. I spent a week in his house, and he was on a project keeping crappies. Is that how you say it? Crappies?
Yeah, crappie. Yeah.
Crappies. And other sunfish, etc., in soil, water, in aquariums with soil with no air filters, etc., where everything goes into a balance, into a zen. You know those aquariums. Those aquariums are usually the ones that you forget about or something, and they're in the corner, and everything seems to work. The water's perfect, crystal clear. That the pump ran out and got burnt months ago, and the fish are living happily in there, and somehow it works when we touch it less.
I've been preaching that. That's my ethos.
Okay, so you have to.
Oh wow!
And he's a great American. He did the book called 72 freshwater fishes of the world, I think it is. He's done like 7 books. Flickford.com. Yeah, you have to interview him. That's a person. That's a person where you
look at this. Wow, he's good.
No, he's another level. It's another level, and he's a very. He understands what we're talking about here.
I got it.
He understands where I'm coming from. He's there. So, yeah. And I own a couple of his original paintings, and so because I'm an art collector too, I love art. And so yeah, interview him. He's very interesting person, and he's an American master.
Ain't even that expensive. Cool. Well, I'm gonna put my info on here. Obviously.
I'll send you a list because there's very important people.
Yeah, and, we have a couple.
Not important as I got 1 million followers. No. Very important people.
To me, important
people that are leaving something to make the world better for tomorrow.
Yeah. The next couple of people that we got coming on are also in that same line, and it's been real interesting for us because it's just kind of organically happened where these guests are kind of lining. I know we've reached out to Dr. Anthony Mazerow from Amazon Research Center for Ornamental Fish. He's going to be with us in the next episode, and then we have a young.
Talk about putting money out of your pocket. That's he's applauded. Yes, and there's also Franz Vermeulen in Aruba. He lives in Aruba. And he's the one that he's describing all the killifish, and he goes into the jungle.
Now I'm in the AKA, so
another person.
I'm a killie person.
Franz Vermeulen would be nice. I interviewed him once many years ago. My first cool camera, professional camera that I bought. I went and interviewed him in his house in Aruba, and it's on YouTube. Franz Vermeulen interview, and he's also a very important person. You should.
Yeah, I remember.
There's many. I don't want to leave one out because there's Chris Engels. Right. There's many people that but I'll give you a list.
Thank you.
Well,
and I know the other person that I wanted to talk about because this is a young person that I really find admirable for what she's doing, Lily? Especially because it's not only is it a younger person, but it's a female, and a mostly dominated. I guess place in the hobby for some reason, but her name's Lily Ichthyology. She's I think in her last year of university, if she hasn't graduated recently, but she's trying to do what I would call like the Wikipedia of species of fish.
Yeah.
So it's basically
Is she in the UK? Lily in the UK?
No, well, she's I think from the US, but the university that she's going to requires that 80% of the education is done abroad. So she's been in different parts of the world.
Okay.
I think it's called Meridian. I think the name of the university that she goes to. And if I'm not mistaken, I think she's originally from Chicago area. I could be wrong on that. I'm not 100% sure. But anyways, this young lady has taken it upon herself to try to create a crowdsourced database from hobbyists who have been keeping the different species, and they're providing a lot of the detail and information that is not out there half the time. And I think it's so interesting what she's doing. Thankfully, she agreed to be on with us. So before the end of the year, that's who we're ending the year with a bang, is with her. But I mean, we're kind of at that point now where if we get a list from you, that'll be great, because that's going to allow us to continue to do what we've been doing. So it's just I never thought that Steve and I would be in this situation this soon.
I did. The universing.
Yeah, no, I knew we would eventually get there, and I know that eventually we would, with the hard work and the grind, you can accomplish a lot of things. What I didn't expect is how quickly a lot of that has been happening for us, and for that I'm eternally grateful for everybody that follows us,
all of y'all,
everybody that continues to support what we're doing, and everybody that continues to accept our invitations to come on and join us for a conversation. So I just want to say thank you, Ivan. I know that you're an extremely busy man.
Thank you.
Thank
it's
you.
A weekend.
Thank you, guys.
You took time out of your personal weekend to be here with us. So
pleasure to be here, man. Listen, thank you all for inviting me again. I'll give you the list of good people, and thanks to everybody that was there. Look, we got a couple of people there.
Y'all just learned today. You matter. What everybody is doing matters. Nobody is too big.
Totally.
We matter. Keep mattering, and y'all keep rocking with us.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
All right. Well, with that said, I want to say thank you for everybody that joined us today. And we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. And, we'll pick up where we left off with a different guest.
Yep. Happy Gobble Day if you're into that kind of stuff. Y'all be good.
Bye-bye.